Okay, now I've jumped ahead a little bit, done a little bit more drawing on here. It takes me even though I work very rapidly, it takes me a, a painting this size probably going to take me a week or two to get it in pretty good shape. So I don't want to bore you with all the tedious little drawing. But what I've done is I've utilized the same palette that I've been working with here, and I'm just trying to get uh, a fairly good definition, an accurate definition of the eye area. And so as you can see, it's probably a little bit farther along than it was a second ago. But uh, I do want to move down to this area here today, so I'm just continuing my drawing. Whenever I'm not doing anything on this little video, I'm not trying to get ahead of you at all. Uh, all I'm really doing is doing some of the drawing away from the canvas, just because it's just not. I don't believe it's very helpful to you. You know. I remember thinking that when I needed and found most valuable in terms of what it was I really wanted to understand about the painting process was not so much watching somebody draw, but understanding the nature of the process itself, and that it isn't magic. Or it's more magic for some than it is for others. But uh, there is a way to proceed and not get ahead of yourself. That's what I'm trying to show you in this little video, is that if you follow the process and you're patient and you're observant, uh, the end result will probably be pretty darn good. Now I've got it seems like every time I do a new self-portrait, I got some new little wrinkle or fold that becomes far too apparent to me, and so I'm capturing those. I'm going to put a little bit more color on this forehead. I'm dipping over into this middle tone, into the reds. Uh, I add some red values as I see fit, and by see fit is um, what I mean by that is that's what I'm seeing in my image. I'm seeing a little bit more red than uh, than I did when I first started. But I like that. That helped. That's helpful. See this big old highlight here? That's because the lights are straight above my head, and one of the reasons I choose this particular pose for self-portrait, because the lighting is really very dramatic. I'm going to have a big old line highlight down the middle of my nose too. Speaking of which, I want to move down to that area, so I'm gonna continue doing some drawing, um, and then in exactly the same manner as I did the eyes, I'm going to go down and I'm going to do the nose a little bit. Okay? Okay, as you can see, I've gone down in this area. I want to do the nose, and I want to begin getting down to the mustache and the ear. But so what I did is I took just a bunch of this darker and medium color, and I sort of basically went over the cheek area. Now I'm going to bring out a few of the highlights which define the shape of my cheekbones. They're not the right color, but all I'm really doing is defining where the highlights are. I've put in all the dark that I need. Now I'm going to put in the highlights. What I've done is I'm doing some flesh tone and some red, and And I'm just defining these, again, these marks, or these highlights. Again, with these lights overhead, it really makes kind of an interesting sort of a lighting on the portrait. Everything's very, very distinct, and my face is very angular, and so a lot of things show up that make it a little bit more interesting to paint. Okay. Now these aren't terribly accurate, but they're on the road to accurate. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to put a little color up in here in the hair area. When I say color, I don't mean the wrong color like I just put there, but I'm going back up and I'm doing this, which you may not think is in the right, I don't know what you call it, the right time to do it, but all of these areas that I'm doing there are giving me a feel for the size of the face, and it's surprising how much these little hair tufts give you a feel for the actual dimensions of the face. Now the hair, although it's pretty white, obviously it doesn't show up white, and you don't paint it white. It's a combination of colors. The overall effect is that it's white. So it's your judgment. You have to sort of say, okay, well, if that's not white, it doesn't appear white, then what color is it? And you paint the colors that you see. I see ochre today. I see ochres in it, and so I'm putting some ochres in it. At this stage, it doesn't matter. What matters is that it's going to matter more down the road when you're doing the final coloring of those white hairs. This is where the ear comes in a little bit here right now. So I'm just sort of blocking in. I'm not painting the detail of the ear. I'm just making sure that the placement of it is right. And at this time of the painting. Now when I'm measuring it, it looks to me, depending on, of course, on how I hold my head, that the bottom of the earlobe is pretty much the same parallel distance between the bottom of my nose. So that always gives me a guideline when I'm painting this picture. I know that I'm holding my head in the right position if my earlobes line up with the bottom of my nose right across there. You know, if I put my head back or my head down, then this thing changes here.